So picture this, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, summer 2019. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, gravel roads lined in wildflowers with no speed limit, nothing but forest and field on either side of me, no civilization for miles, and a guarantee that eventually I will dead end in water. Lucky for me, marriage came with a quaint family cottage built by my husband's great-grandfather from Norway. One of less than 30 properties, this humble abode stands on a small island on the St. Mary's River, where freighter watching is the favored pastime, and the only way on or off is to catch the ferry across. He and I have just bought an old metal dinghy from the neighbor next door for $200. We're excited to venture out in our luxurious new ride, with spacious metal bench seating and all. So we plan for a romantic evening cruise around the island, relaxing with the couple drinks stored in the cooler at my feet, fully anticipating the oohing and eyeing of a serene sundown. Approximately 60 seconds after our push-off from the dock, we realize we aren't the only ones flocking to the water at sunset. Seems we had company and a lot of it. Apparently, mosquitoes are also the romantic type, and they, too, only had eyes for me. The mosquitoes rapidly descend and attempt to hijack whatever Disney movie scene I had already painted in my head. My husband, John, cranks the motor and sends our little dinghy that could racing off towards the sun, foolishly believing we might actually be able to outrun these bloodthirsty monsters with wings. And if you've ever been to the UP in the summertime, you know I'm not exaggerating. Seated at the bow of the boat, I am more of a sacrificial lamb than I am a maiden of the sea. The first to catch every bump, smack, and splat, I pull my hoodie up and tight, hiding most of my face, and I just pray to God my sunglasses keep me from being blinded by bugs. We power on, our sole mission to lose ourselves in the fire of the sky before us. And not get eaten alive, of course. Eventually, John cuts the motor. High on adrenaline, he says, "Look at us, babe. We chase sunsets." And as we're floating in the belly of beauty, he takes out his phone because it's just too gorgeous to believe. But I knew I'd remember it. I turned towards him for the picture and smile. Bugs in my teeth be damned. The glow across the sky was glowing inside of me now, too. And I just knew. That's it. That's exactly it. I am a sunset chaser. I only had to say it once to know that these two words, paired like so, were as definitive as any I am statement. Sunset chaser. The truest way I could paint who I've always been on the inside. A way to share the beautiful ache that's allowed my heart to hold both happiness and hurt at the very same time. A lifetime longing I could never explain, nor could I ever ignore, despite how I may have tried in the past. And while I knew right then and there, the moment the picture was taken in summer of 2019, that Sunset Chaser would eventually become a song, I would not know how to write it until years later. But I kept the idea like a locket I wore around my neck. Because a song that's really meant for you will, in fact, wait for you.
Hey y'all, I'm Raye Williams, and this is Like We Were Never Kids, a place where stories and songs meet healing. Every song I've written, every story I've told has been a way of talking to my inner child, honoring their pain, their resilience, and their joy. And honestly, in the process, I ended up healing parts of myself I didn't even realize needed it. That path brought me here, to this podcast, to this moment, and to you now. So let's dive in together and see what our inner child still has to say.
Fast forward 2.5 years to New Year's Eve, ready to ring in 2022. the news breaks that Betty White has died. I am devastated. So much so, I cancel plans and cry in bed most of the day. I was barely hanging on as it was. The last 6 months had been so heavy-laden with anticipatory grief already. This just pushed me over the edge. Not only that, but Betty's passing was also forcing me to face the fact that my own grandma, while still healthy, was only a few years younger than Betty. And she too might not make it to be 100 years old either. A pop to my already slow-leaking balloon. My lifelong love for the Golden Girls aside, I knew this was reaching me deeper than fandom. Text messages poured in from pretty much everyone I knew that day, offering condolences for my second favorite lady over 90. Reminding me of what I already knew. More loss was upon me soon. Susan. Such a simple name for someone destined to have such profound impact. Susan Tucker was a teacher of the soul all her life. She was my mentor, another mother, and my manager for 15 years. Our relationship began when I graduated high school and moved down to Nashville from Michigan to pursue the big dreams we all believed could be my reality. Susan and her longtime partner, both professionally and personally, Kim Copeland, would manage me for most of my career. Kim with the more creative parts like producing me in the studio, road managing, and co-writing songs with me. And Susan with more of the day-to-day. She knew her strength, and she took on all the organizing and networking, the administrative work that no one in their right mind would trust any artist to do, let alone one that's only 17 years old. And while our relationship would be tested over the years, we'd eventually make it through it all. There was a natural maternal instinct that kicked in almost right away for her and Kim. And as someone who was always just as happy to hang out with my friend's parents as I was my friend, I welcomed this new nest. It would be a safe place I'd come back to over and over again in both my most trying and triumphant of times. Such as my terrible twos, aka my 20s, for example, where I went from the awkward duckling with an undeniably big voice in Michigan to a young adult working on Music Row as an artist, session singer, and staff songwriter. I'd also lose all the baby fat, make some friends that were my own age, break up with my high school boyfriend, and learn how many vodka cranberries it took to forget my ID at the bar. Repeatedly. Not to mention, but my momagers also had a front row seat to the fast and furious shit show I'd call my love life back then. Yikes. They'd offer the same advice with every breakup. Girl, try as you might, you just can't turn an elephant into a giraffe. Obviously, perspective comes with age. I can't imagine how frustrating it must have been to watch someone so young and talented, self-sabotaging for people they knew wouldn't matter to me in a couple of years. But I also know that that time in my life, as cringeworthy as it was, is necessary to the story. Because I can't rewrite the unfavorable parts without it changing just about everything. Moderate career successes and head-scratching frustration kept a consistent ebb and flow for many years. I'd go on to release several independent albums and EPs, open for some of my favorite country artists, and perform everywhere from the Viper Room to the Bluebird Cafe. When I hit the road for shows, Susan and Kim bought an old RV for us to trek from New York to Wyoming, playing every college cafeteria and county fair along the way. I can still see it. My band walking onto the RV for the very first time, and the look of complete horror on their faces when they are met with the neon-colored everything and twinkle lights, courtesy of their new 19-year-old boss. Susan moved the business side of my career, landing the meetings with the record labels and other bigwigs. If she did the talking, then I could be counted on to show up in full glam and sing my heart out to a few strangers in a conference room. My audience was almost always middle-aged men, evaluating me from 10 feet away on whether I was worthy of their investment. I would come so close so many times over the years, but ultimately could never beat the "we have too many females and females don't sell" mentality of the country music business back then. What's wild is that those were the reasons given 15 years ago, and they still very much apply today. Tune into your local country radio station and listen for yourself. Female artists now represent less than 10% of country music on the radio. Chasing a moving target was exhausting then, it's exhausting now. And while maddening, it is also strangely validating to know that it wasn't a me problem, but an industry problem that still exists today. I'd eventually move back to Michigan after a decade of almosts, but continue to commute down to Nashville every month for recording sessions and writing appointments, staying with my momagers at their house each visit. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. When multiple major medical crises came crashing in like a wrecking ball right in the midst of a huge career opportunity for me, they would walk me through every step from hundreds of miles away. Susan was diagnosed with Parkinson's and interstitial lung disease. And less than 1 year later, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. Our relationship was my superpower, long after the official music partnership ended. Susan was my gentle giant, my Buddha, my way to calm every storm. And while the deepest rooted tree is wise and strong in life, turns out it can teach you even more in how it dies. The conversations I had with Susan in the last months of her life are ones that will stay with me forever. Like a portal to something holy, it felt transcendent to be in her presence and hear her speak on her life and on her death. If I hadn't recorded it, I might have thought it was all a dream. Lucky for me, it wasn't. And here's the proof.
I'm definitely hurting, and
it's real.
The only way to get through it is to stand in it.
Yep.
I can't
shine the light.
I can't jump over it, no matter how I tried.
Yeah, I think the visual for me of shining the light and removing all the shadows is what makes me feel like I understand what I'm doing now and why, in terms of just being the person that I am. Mm-hmm. Because there's absolutely stuff in my lifetime that I feared. I felt less than adequate. I was not the right one. What are they talking about? We all got that side, and I certainly do too. But now that I've kind of told myself, when you feel that, then run to it. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm taking this approach to going on to dying. It's kind of like, if you fear it, then let's look at it real close, see if we can understand it.
So for me, it's like, I just want to be present for you, and I want to not make up for all the years that I didn't learn or that I didn't listen, but just learn and listen from this point forward. And that's going to be my way through this. And so I'm not going to have this. Well, why is she, you know what I mean? Why is she doing this? And I want to, and even if you told me that you didn't want me to be there at the very end, I feel like I could accept that. I want to be, but I could accept it because I know that I'm doing my best to walk with you through it now.
Yeah. Well, before we go any further, let me reiterate, I do want you there. I guess you have more of a timing issue concern than anybody, so, of the final four here. But I think that, I would love for you to be there, and you just take that where it goes.
Yep.
And if you can't make it because there's a snowstorm, I know you'll be there in other ways. I do want you there. We've gone through more life together than most people.
I know that's right.
True.
Oh my goodness.
By New Year's of 2022, she'd ask for my assistance in helping her finish writing her own obituary. It was so very important to Susan to say goodbye in her own words, offering her insight and humor as her final farewell. At this point, she tired easily and struggled to type or text, her ideas becoming harder and harder to verbalize, let alone put to paper. She emailed me what she'd already started, which was more or less just partial sentences and thoughts, very minimal notes. It gave her anxiety to think that she might not complete it before she died. So we planned for me to fly down to Texas again in a couple of weeks to sit beside her and write it together. It gave her tremendous relief once my flight was booked, and it felt like the least I could do for a woman that meant the absolute world to me. January 13th, 2022. I wake early to a white wintered morning in Michigan. John's off to snowplow the parking lot at work before they open. I put my phone on airplane mode and leave it on the nightstand to come downstairs and snuggle up in my chair with my coffee and journal. Halfway down the page in my stream of conscience ramblings, I write, "You are not an island." Taking that quite literally, I stop what I'm doing and go upstairs to retrieve my phone and connect myself to the world again. It was a good 30 minutes while it lasted. Within seconds, it vibrates with a text from Kim. "Call me," in all caps. She picks up and I hear, "That's it. She's gone." "What?" That's it. She's gone." I'm not hearing this right. She proceeds to tell me how she'd woken up next to Susan, with Susan somehow turning herself over silently in the night to face Kim. She said Susan had a peaceful smile on her face, like she was in the middle of a good dream. Kim, the devoted caregiver, anticipating her every breath and need for years, hadn't heard a thing. I don't have longer than a minute to process before she tells me that people are starting to arrive at the door. "I'm sorry, but I've got to go. I'll call you after they take her." The call ends. I can still feel the toothbrush in my other hand. How my legs instantly couldn't hold me, and the doorframe had to. How can this be real? I just talked to Susan yesterday. We had a plan. I have a flight booked to see her in 2 days. We were finishing her obituary. It's not done yet. She can't be dead when it's not done yet. A guttural wail escapes that is so loud and so long, it takes all the air from my lungs. I sit on the top step with my head in my hands and belligerently cry as I scoot down each step, one at a time. I don't know how, but I make it back to my chair, open up my MacBook, and begin the process of crisis-changing my flight. I text my husband and my brother and ask them to inform everyone else because I was not talking to anyone until the airport later that afternoon. With my phone back on airplane mode again, I stare in disbelief at my dogs, who are staring in disbelief right back at me. I try to pace, but my legs aren't steady, so I pull out the bench and sit, resting my head on the piano. A slight relief from the weight of the world. The worst has happened. She was there, and now she's not. She is gone, and I am here. She is gone, and I am here. It's up to me to do this now. The obituary, yes, but All the love in the story of her life, too. All the hope she had for the people she loved. All the light she was. I have to keep it going. Like a spiritual torch. She was handing it off to me. Susan's mantra in the last year of her life was, shine the light. Because the darkness isn't so scary once you know what's there. So when the earth collapsed beneath my feet that morning, I picked up a flashlight and I pushed record on my phone. It was not my intention that anyone would ever hear it. I don't think intention had anything to do with it at all. It was the knowing. And it said that this here, this hard that I'm experiencing right now in this moment, it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be honored. Before the reflection, before any songs are written, before a post, before a flight, before the metamorphosis of life without her, claim this part right here, right now, because there is significance here too. Let it hurt big because the love was big. I flew to Texas later that day to be with Kim and Susan's daughter, Tracy. And for the next 10 days, we'd hold each other up, trying to figure out how the hell we were going to get through this. It would take days after she passed for me to painstakingly finish Susan's obituary. But when it was complete, I was certain it was just as she would have wanted. And as I clicked post, making her departure public, I could feel her on my shoulder, like a Jiminy Cricket saying, "Well done, young grasshopper. Now we get to the real work." I share these intimate moments with you in great detail because Susan's death was the catalyst for everything from here on out. The 2-year hiatus I'd take from music, the reckoning I'd have to do within myself in order to find joy in creating again, the transcendent epiphany moments and the synchronicity I'd experience, the presence of self I'd maintain in the dark times that were soon ahead, the awareness to fit and not force, and to really feel when it clicks into place. Yes, this entire wildly ambitious and all-consuming project I'm releasing out into the world now could not have happened if Susan were still alive. The art is in the grief. It reveals some of the truest things about us at our core that we simply don't have access to, except through heart-shattering loss. She had to leave her flame in me so that I could keep it burning and finish what we started. February 2023. When I did finally return to the studio, it wasn't to record my own music. I was called in by the studio owner and producer, Ved Kapik, who I'd worked with a few times before the pandemic. He had hired me to sing a couple demos for a local songwriter and newer client of his, Chris Giatti. The songs were pretty good, and I was happy to be back in the vocal booth, so as far as I could tell, the session was going smoothly. Both Ved and Chris were over the moon with my performance and wanted to book me for more sessions right away. I was transparent up front, sharing that I had had a lot of personal things going on in the background and that I just wasn't looking to jump back into being busy anytime soon. They listened to me like they understood. No other explanation was needed. They'd reach out, and if I could do the session, great. If not, they'd try to reschedule because they really wanted me and my voice on these songs. I couldn't have known it then, but I had just found my companions for the yellow brick road that was ahead. April 2023. I've sung a handful of songs written by Chris at Ved's studio now. Low pressure, interesting songs, and surprisingly deep conversation each week with these two middle-aged men. They have brought up helping me with my own songs, offering to pay the expenses of getting it recorded. They've generously made this offer a few times now. Each time I thank them and say, I'll think about it. Full transparency here, I just really didn't want to mess up the good thing we had going. I was in control of my schedule and finally making money again. I was slowly wading myself back in to see what the hell I even wanted to do next. Not only that, but my connection with these guys was pretty crazy. The conversations were stimulating and super motivational. Each week, on top of being paid, I was met with small gifts of appreciation from Chris. Beautiful cards that were blank inside just in case I ever wanted to use them. A copy of a quote, poem, or news article that spoke to him that week, and he just wanted to share, thinking it might inspire something in me too. When he gifted me Rick Rubin's The Creative Act one week and Anne Lamott's Bird by Bird the next, I knew for sure. These are my people. They get it. Follow this. Next session, when Chris again offers to send one of my songs down to Nashville for tracking along with his, I say yes. Only one small problem. I still haven't written it yet. Later that week, I'm visiting my grandma. I stay a little later to avoid rush hour on my already 40-minute drive home. I merge onto 94 East to head back when the neon instantly catches my eye in the rearview mirror. The ache. The pull to go in the other direction. I get off the very next exit and drive back where I had just been, only further. I follow the sunset all the way through my hometown, over the bridge, and to the side of Belleville Lake. And just like that, I'm 9 years old again, taking my bike out for an evening ride, sneaking out of the neighborhood and up High Street, hiding my bike in the bushes at Horizon Park and scaling the ledge, wanting to sit down and as close to the water as I could. This has always been me, a sunset chaser. As dusk moved in and twilight began, I turned my car around and drove the long trek back home. And finally, I write the damn song.
I caught it in my rearview mirror, and I couldn't leave it there. Now the view that was behind me is before my eyes, reaching out its arms like a prayer. I'm a sunset chaser, headed toward an end, and I just have to witness and look the neon in the eye. Never hits the same, never fails to make me smile to myself as I cry, pulling every string in my heart, from the clouds into this car. I'm a sunset chaser, a silver lining maker. I live for a color flooded sky. Oh, and just like you, it's gone to
It didn't hit me until the writing of this episode how integral Sunset Chaser will be when I reflect on my life before and after. I hear it now and it almost feels like a dream, like it was both yesterday and a lifetime ago. It's surreal to speak of someone so significant in the past tense. It never feels quite finished. You can always recall the things you wish you had said, the trips you wish you would have taken together, the dreams you wish they could have seen you achieve. If only you knew we really didn't have forever. I felt some sort of that regret with the loss of loved ones in the past. But with Susan, I don't know, I was a puddle of gratitude. Because she did something I'd never seen anyone else do. She took ownership of her legacy in her death.
You were always one to share the light you found, believed in my ability to hold it. So as I watch you burn and brighter as you sink on down, I know that it's time for me to show it. A heartache that feels like a hug, heavy but so full of love. I'm a sunset chaser, a silver liner maker. I live for a color-flooded sky. Oh, and just like you, it's gone too soon, and I'm left in a twilight goodbye. Yeah, I'm still standing in a twilight goodbye. But I keep running after something that is out of my control, captivated by how far away you are, but still so close. Beautiful and bittersweet, how you made a sunset chaser out of me. I caught you in my rearview mirror, and I couldn't leave you there.
Susan showed all of us a different way to die. A way that requires a full presence. One that we're often too uncomfortable to give. Why? Because death feels too scary to talk about. It's like a secret we're all keeping. We hear someone is dying and we flock to their bedside, and yet we don't verbally acknowledge the elephant in the room. We project ourselves into someone else's ending. Susan made it clear in her final months, she is the elephant, and unapologetically so. No thoughts and prayers needed. If anyone thought she was interested in having visitors that would sit and hold her hand and dance around the inevitable, they were met with a swift kick in the ass, emotionally speaking. Susan was going to extract your head from the sand whether you were ready or not, and it was going to be brutal. This is probably where you think the story ends. After all, Susan died. Isn't death the end? Isn't that where we stop? Susan's biological death was neither the end of her story, nor was it the end of our story. She taught me no, she demanded of me to shine the light and run towards it. And so if I'm going to spend the rest of this podcast series telling you all about the ways I've confronted myself and run toward the hard things in my most important relationships, I have to start by showing you how Susan made me do that with her. I couldn't end this episode with Susan's death because that's not the part I still live with most days. I have to tell you about her last days in order for you to understand her afterlife and my life after her. By the summer of 2021, I've compartmentalized the impending doom for months now, staying busy with a new band and shows every weekend. When they tell me the doctors have given Susan 6 to 10 months, I find a break in the schedule and I fly to Texas to be with her for her birthday. At this point, she's on oxygen 24/7 and not moving around much without the assistance of a walker and other people. She's lost a lot of weight and her blonde hair has faded to a light gray. She's in her favorite seat, the lazy boy recliner I'd grown so accustomed to seeing her in over the years, working on her MacBook, lost in concentration with Sudoku, cuddling a dog, watching CBS with commercials on mute. I'm confused how this chair, the right fit for her all these years, now looks ridiculously too big for her. The conversation starts with the initial niceties. How was your flight? How was your show? How are your parents doing? I answer and just keep talking because I don't know what else to do. If I stop, then we might have a moment or two of silence where we just look at each other. And if that happens, then I have to acknowledge how startled I am to see this huge presence in my life look so small and frail. And I can't start crying already. I just got here. It would make her feel bad. I have to stay strong. Surely as the days go on, I'll get more comfortable and I'll open up. I'll be more vulnerable. I just have to ease into it. I'm thinking all this in my head while talking 100 miles an hour. And just as I start to talk about how my brother is going to Spain soon, I hear, "Listen, I love your brother and all, and no offense, but I don't really care to talk about that now. So let's just jump right into it. You know I'm dying, right? Do you want to talk about that?" Silence. Heat in my face, lump in my throat, a siren in my head. I awkwardly croak out, "Yes, I know that you're dying." "Well, do you have any questions for me?" I don't know. I guess so." "Well, aren't you the least bit curious about dying?" "Wait, what? I feel like you're putting me on the spot pretty quick here." "My time here is pretty quick." "Okay, I get that, but no, I did not travel here thinking of all the questions I wanted to ask you about death." "Well, what did you come for?" "Apparently an immediate interrogation, jeez." The next morning, when she asked if I had thought of any questions overnight, I apologetically asked the obvious. "Are you scared?" Her disappointment hit like a brick, my shame keeping me on edge. I was conscious of every word and every move, praying it didn't get misinterpreted during my few days there. Inevitably, Susan and I would have it out towards the end of the trip. I sobbed and screamed to myself the whole way back to her house to confront her for the unfairness of it all. Why is she being so hard on me? Why is she hell-bent on ruining what might be our last time together? Why is she treating me like I'm still the self-sabotaging 20-something-year-old, hard-headed, and wasting my potential? I mean, would I actually be here if I was still that person? As soon as I walked in the door, Kim excused herself for a walk, and it was just the two of us. I kept my distance and stood on the other side of the room, fully expecting another eruption of emotion in whoever spoke first. Instead, when she said my name and the floodgates opened, all that rushed out was love. Next thing I knew, I was kneeling beside her chair at her feet, weeping in her lap as she ran her fingers through my hair. The portal had opened. After that night, concrete was poured over the sand. I came to her fully present in every conversation. I did not look away. It's not that I suddenly knew what to say or what to ask, but I trusted myself enough to lean in and listen closer. And with this newfound curiosity and change of perspective, I bore witness to Susan's life like I never thought possible. When I flew out to visit her again, I remember agonizing on the plane over what questions I wanted to ask. I had packed a small recording mic with me, and while I didn't know how to approach it yet, I knew I wanted to capture some words of wisdom to keep and play for myself after she was gone. I wanted her to be proud of me. What ended up happening was far superior to any test I was hoping to ace. I did not come up with any questions on that flight or that first night. But what I did do by morning was open the floor for explorative conversation. I took the pressure off myself to get it right and just let her take the lead in telling me any and every part of her story that she felt she still needed to get out. Turns out all I had to do was push record. It was so easy to ask questions when it moved to the rhythm of conversation. It was like working with the director on the performance of their life. I saw her so clearly in every decade, in every major life decision and event. And how magnificent it was to see that Susan had always been the Susan I knew, even in her childhood years. She was a whole person with a whole story, not just the part that involved me. Her wisdom, her demeanor, her mindset, it all followed her every step of the way. She'd always been the sage one, the teacher, the mentor, the greatest friend anyone's ever had. It was a revelation. Each day of that trip, I recorded 2 to 3 hours of conversation from my iPad. We covered so much ground: her upbringing, her family, the journey of motherhood, the hard but certain road she walked to love Kim, her friendships, her dreams, her fears. When I asked what she was worried about most in her death, her reply was, "I'm afraid you'll stop singing."
It's respectful,
On the last day of my trip, she asked, "What are you planning to do with all these recordings?" I told her that I felt moved to share more of myself in words, maybe even write a book about this experience, because what I was learning in losing her felt too huge, too life-altering to simply resume the life I was living before. I knew even then that I couldn't write songs for the radio and try to sell myself again. Admittedly, this sounded like another one of my big ideas to her, where I get super pumped for a month or two and then abandon ship. When I returned to Michigan, I continued to record our phone conversations. By Christmas of 2021, Susan sensed something was different. I was inside her story now, seeing things she couldn't. She was both impressed and humbled by my observations. I was really getting it. Finally.
I don't know when this transformation happened to you to the point that it was starting to outflow your skin and become a reality in the world. I don't know when that happened, but I've always worried about you being someone who starts so many projects that you can't finish any of them. And, keeping yourself busy, which I'm like that, so I know what it does to you. You get nowhere quick, or you get right where you need to be, one or the other. But, so I'm seeing a whole different person. I told Kim the other day, I said, Rachel is different. I don't know exactly what's going on, but she's different. And so I get it now. It makes sense to me. I know I'm one of them that doesn't want you to give up singing, mostly because I wanted you to stick them. But like I say, I understand the other side of it too, because it's me. And so I'm glad you're following it and that you trusted it enough to not give up on it.
Well, thanks.
Secondly, I hope you're recording all the stuff you just said.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
You need to put something in there about when you label it, whoever you're interviewing at the time. And a nice speech by me too.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I think it's a great place to be, and it's weird the way it's all going down for all of us. But Sounds like you got the good stuff figured out to spread around.
It might sound strange, but I feel more connected to her now than ever. Like, now she knows my deepest, most inner thoughts, my hurts, my history, my healing. In death, there's nothing left between us. There's no distance. There's no misunderstanding. There's no barrier. Because she lives in me now. She is the fire in my belly and the symphony of synchronicity all around me. This connection continues to grant me peace, even when it hurts. It grounds me to know it's peace I earned. All because she challenged me to go directly through. Not above, not around, but through. I go back to the dating advice Susan and Kim gave me during my terrible twos. Girl, you just can't turn an elephant into a giraffe. I can't help but smile, thinking of how it still rings true. She'll always be my elephant now, standing tall in exactly who she was, who she is, and who she will continue to be. And I, the sunset chaser, forever left in awe of the sky's goodbye. Even if it's just the remnants hanging onto clouds over my backyard, I can feel the hug from the horizon anywhere. And when I chase it, I always catch it. The overwhelming wonder of it all. I wish I could bottle it up, minus the mosquitoes. But I can't. So I hold its gaze all the way to the end. I don't look away because the last glow before goodbye is the most glorious. It stays with you. A haunting and a healing of the heart. And while you know it has to end and that night must come, at least now I can enter the darkness with more gratitude. On harder days when I don't think I can find a silver lining way to end it, I know if I look up, I can find it there. No sunset is the same. Every evening, a different departure. Much like grief. There's beautiful color in a grieving heart. You just have to be willing to share it. I think that's what Susan was trying to tell me. I think that's what this song is about, what this whole project is about. I want to know the people I love. I want to know their story while I still have them, not after the fact, trying to piece together a life in pictures. But I also want people to know me. I cannot die with these stories still inside of me. So I'm sharing mine now. One song, one story, one sunset at a time. My hope is that by doing so, it might make someone going through their own deep grief journey feel a little less alone. Because I've been there. I'm still there. But the good news is, it can still be beautiful. And it's always worth the chase.
I caught it in my rearview mirror, and I couldn't leave it there. Now the view that was behind me is before my eyes, reaching out its arms like a prayer. I'm a sunset chaser, headed toward an end, and I just have to witness and look the neon in the eye. Never hits the same, never fails to make me smile to myself as I cry, pulling every string in my heart, from the clouds into the sky. I'm a sunset chaser, a silver lining maker. I live for a color-flooded sky. Oh, and just like you, it's gone too soon. that feels like a hug, heavy but so full of love. I'm a sunset chaser, a silver liner maker. I live for a color flooded sky. Oh, and just like you, it's gone too soon, and I'm left in a twilight goodbye. Yeah, I'm still standing in a twilight goodbye, but I keep running after something that is out of my control, activated by how far away you are, but still so close. Beautiful and bittersweet, how you made a sunset chaser out of me. I caught you in my rearview mirror, and I couldn't leave you there.
All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out today. These stories mean a lot to me, and even more because now they get to belong to you a little bit too. If this episode connected with you, the companion song from today's episode is available over on my artist page under Raye Williams, linked in the episode notes. And if today felt like we only scratched the surface, we probably did. Because next week we're heading into the basement. Basement B-Side is the companion conversation to this episode, where my baby sister, special guests, and I dig through the things underneath the story. The buried emotions, the memories that didn't make the edit, the stuff we packed away and somehow still carried with us anyway. You can follow along with the series at Like We Were Never Kids and visit raywilliams.com. And wherever you're listening from, thank you for trusting me with your time. Because maybe the younger versions of us were never asking to be forgotten, just heard. So give the kid the mic. I'll go first.